Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to discuss Veterans Day and the significance and what it means to me and to other veterans. So first of all, I just wanted to say, hey, what's up brothers and sisters who are currently serving? Thank you so much for serving. I love it. I love it every day. I think about the military, and you know, it's always the saying goes, which is, man, you really, when you're in the military, you are just, it's terrible. But when you leave, it's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. And that's kind of where I'm at. I've left. I've been out for 13 years. I've been out now for 13 years. And I think about it almost every day, about my time in, about what I learned. And I'm so thankful and blessed that I was able to serve the military in such a way where I was able to be defense as opposed to offense. I was able to serve and protect my ship in the capacity that I was in. I joined back in 2003 when I was 23 years old. So I had just graduated with my associate's degree from Mount Hood Community College. I got my degree in computer applications, and I was looking at a pregnant wife. And so I needed to find a job quickly, and so at the time there was a mild recession that was going on, and so instead of trying to find a job forever and ever, I was like, you know, the time is now. I'm going to serve my country like my grandfather did before me, and so I enlisted. I enlisted as an E3, which is unusual. I was able to negotiate that. Yeah, anyway, long story on that. But I enlisted as an E3, and I was a CTT is my rate, which is a Crypto Logic Technician Technical. Essentially what I did was I looked at a monochrome screen from back in the 60s, no joke, and I looked for missiles, any kind of missile. And so I was primarily defense. So I'd be able to just say, hey, we got an inbound missile coming in. So going to boot camp at first was terrible. I had trouble adapting. Remember, I was older than most of those young whippersnappers who enlisted right out of high school, and they were 18 years old. And so I was doing my PT and everything next to 18-year-olds. And they called me the old man in the division, which was fine. You know, I didn't mind. People came to me and asking for advice and stuff like that, and I was able to offer them some advice. You know, I was still 23, you know, whatever. So anyway, I was in boot camp, and I met all the PT standards, which was great. I met all the standards. I dove off the, I believe it's 20-foot tall dive board, basically simulating you going into the water from the top of an aircraft carrier, I believe. It was whatever height that is. Funny thing is I actually failed the first time swimming the 100 yards because I didn't use the correct form in their eyes. So I actually had to go back, and then if I remember, I did the backstroke, you know, just head back, and was floating and, you know, swimming 100 yards that way, whatever. Just was like, okay, fine, just get it done. I didn't do it up to their form. So anyway, did that, no problem. I got decent grades. You know, you're required to do all kinds of schoolwork back in those days. And so I did fine. I didn't fail any of that. However, one thing that is interesting to note, I didn't know this, you can actually be held back in boot camp, and I actually was. And the reason why I was two reasons. So one is a cautionary tale of what not to do. Don't do it. Don't do what I did in boot camp. So what am I talking about? The first strike against me was that I was standing at attention next to my rack, like we're all lined up in our compartment. That's what they call the area where everyone sleeps and all that. And we're standing at attention, and there was this dude who was causing the entire division to get PT'd, physical fitness, basically, you know, have to do jumping jacks and all this kind of stuff. And so we were getting punished, basically, for his actions, because, remember, a failing of one person is the failing of the entire team. So anyway, this guy passes by me. As he's passing by me, I go right upside his head. And and the RDCs, the recruit division commanders, drill sergeants, whatever you want to call them, all three of them saw me do it because it was like right in the, out the open, and they are like, Bagwell, get over here now. So they yelled at me so much that they actually had to take me inside. There's like this little office space that each compartment has, and go into the office space, and I have all three of them inches from my face, inches, saying, what are you doing? You don't assault a fellow shipmate. Oh, I will admit, I was crying like a baby. I was like, I'm so sorry, you know. And anyway, I learned my lesson. That, like I said, I am the epitome of what not to do. I've made so many mistakes. So the other thing, ironically, the other thing I had problem with was folding. Like, I don't know why. I just could not grasp my mind around folding the way that the Navy teaches you to fold. And frankly, like after boot camp, gone. I don't fold that way at all. I know of it, but it's all like a haze now. So anyway, I got held back by 2 or 3 weeks. So actually, it might have been longer than that. So at the time, boot camp was 8 weeks long back in my day, and so I was in for 3 months, so an extra month. So yeah, there you go. But I needed that extra month. It actually did me a load of good, because when I transferred to the new division, I was actually able to teach the new recruits how to salute, how to march, how to do all those things. I was teaching them how to do that, which was pretty cool. That the RDCs say, well, this guy is screwed up, here, you take him. And then they put me in a position of teaching leadership, which was pretty cool. So anyway, all that drama done. I graduate from boot camp, you know, after that, no problems. I get out to Pensacola, Florida, where my A school was at. That's where they teach you how to do your job. And I did that for about 4 or 5 months. So my son Skylar is born at this point. So while I'm at A school, so I don't know if you guys, there might be people who have never been in the military before, but when you go to A school, it's highly accelerated. You miss 1 day and it's like the equivalent of 5, essentially. You're studying for 12, 14 hours and doing schoolwork on top of that, practical application, all this kind of stuff. And so I missed 3 days of school, which put me really far behind. At the end of A school, I was able to graduate around 4th or 5th of my class. So how that works is when you are done with your A school, and based on how well you did compared to your other fellow classmates. So I was 4th, I believe, in my class. And so I got 4th best orders. So in other words, like there were people, you know, the first person got the first best, first pick of orders, 2nd, 3rd, and then me, 4th. And so I discussed this with my ex-wife, and I had the chance to go to Japan, but she was like, nope, I want to stay here in the States. Okay, fine. I wanted to travel a little bit, you know, whatever. So what were my options, you might ask? Great, glad you asked. So my options were Mayport, Florida. Ugh, I had had enough of Florida. Or Norfolk, Virginia. So I chose those orders because that was up north. It was different. It was not Florida. I did not want to be a part of Florida at all. I was tired of the humidity and the rain and just tired of it all. So anyway, graduate A school, no problem. I get my orders. I travel from Pensacola, Florida up to Norfolk, Virginia. And I was attached to the USS Bulkley DDG-84. Great ship, great crew, great everything. I loved it, actually. I loved the people there, and it was pretty cool because right after I got there, a month later, they were in the Navy shipyards at the time. And so a month after I got there, they actually went underway for a 6-month deployment. So again, back in my day, the typical length of a deployment was 6 months long, and it was highly irregular and unusual if your deployment was longer than 6 months. But there were instances where your deployment could be extended. Anyway, deploy, go from Norfolk, Virginia to the Persian Gulf. And from there, we had port visits in Rota, Spain, had a port visit in Malta, which is my favorite, which is south of Italy. Beautiful country. Oh my goodness, I have so many great memories. So from Malta, we traveled from there through the Mediterranean Sea, and then south through the Suez Canal, and then the Red Sea, and then up to the Persian Gulf. And from there, we patrolled for a couple of months and made it back safely with no problem. I really enjoyed my time in the military, and I think about it all the time. I'm studying to be a pastor right now. I'm getting my Master of Divinity degree, and I thought about going back. I've looked into being a chaplain, but unfortunately that door is very much closed, and I don't feel like God is calling me to be a chaplain, but instead to do something different. And so that's what I've been doing. I've just been pursuing what God wants for me. But I love our military. I love the people that are a part of it. They are just some of the most wonderful people I've ever had the chance to work with, the most honorable. And frankly, like I said, I miss it almost every day. And, you know, I do know of the struggles that people have when they get out of the military, and frankly, they're frustrated with the way that civilians think, the way that they act, even the way they speak. So with that frustration with civilians and the civilian world and becoming a civilian, sometimes there's a lack of purpose that happens. So you get out of the military, you look around, you're like, okay, now what? What can I do now? What skills can I do? Some people don't want to use their GI Bill. They're not geared towards college. That's fine. Some people, when they get out of the military, they just don't know what to do with their life. They lack purpose or a sense of purpose or community. And so consequently, they isolate themselves. And during this isolation, you know, you lose your sense of purpose. And when you have no purpose, you feel like, what's the point of living? And so there's a statistic, which is, and everyone who's watching this who's a veteran knows this statistic, which is that 22 people who are veterans commit suicide every single day in this country, in the United States. And I just want to encourage the people that are watching this who are veterans, who are struggling with suicidal tendencies, suicidal thoughts. Bro, man, I've been there. I've experienced this thinking before. I understand where you're coming from. Let me tell you, there is a better way. Just reach out to me if you are struggling. Comment down below or message me privately on any of my platforms. I'm here for you. I have a special place in my heart for all veterans, and I want you to know that I will be there. I'll do whatever I can, connect with you in any way I can, so that you no longer will feel alone and isolated. So with all of that in mind, have a great Veterans Day. So if you're passionate about living a life devoted and seeking a relationship with Jesus Christ, then I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.